Hi, today I want to touch on four big factors and aspects to qualifying for a mortgage or a loan in general, whether that's a home equity line or a mortgage. What are the four big variables and important pieces that come in doing that? There are, like I said, many aspects to qualifying for loans that will be accounted for as you put in your application, but the four big ones just before you start the process to be aware of: first, income. So your income source and showing that you have a steady income source is very important. I was just talking to somebody the other day about, even if you're looking to buy a duplex and you're going to rent out the upper portion, but live in the bottom portion, and that upper portion is going to be rent, it's still so important to show that you can sustain and carry those payments even if the upper section isn't rented. Because what if it goes vacant? The bank needs to be able to see that you have the income to be able to carry the payments, even if that upper section or that lower section, wherever you're living, is going to be vacant. So that's the first piece, your income. You need to show that you would qualify for that amount per month that you will need to make those payments. And that includes your principal, your interest, your taxes, and your homeowner's insurance. So you need to show that monthly you make enough to proportionally pay for that monthly payment that includes all of that. Typically, I'll make a side note that if you're self-employed, they want to see at least 2 years worth of being in that business to show that you do carry consistently that much income. There are exceptions to that, and there are ways around that, and there are certain loans that will require other pieces of documentation to account for self-employment, but that is one of the rules out there. So income is the first big piece. Credit is another big piece. Making sure that your credit is sufficient enough to show that you are not going to default on your loan. And that is measured through the major credit bureaus. There are 3 major credit bureaus: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, and they all have slightly different numbers typically, and usually the banks will take the middle number. That is how they know if you're a higher risk or a lower risk. If your credit's a little bit lower, they typically will charge you a little bit higher interest because they want to make sure that their risk is offset, and vice versa. If you're higher credit score, then usually you'll get a lower interest rate because that's how they account for that risk. The third piece is making sure your debt to income is in balance. So if you have student loan debt, if you have credit card debt, if you have car loans, making sure that your income compared to your debt is still enough that you can still qualify for that loan. That is one of the things that we've seen people come out with a ton of student loan debt, and they can't qualify for a mortgage right away because they're basically carrying a mortgage worth of student loan debt just coming out of college. So that's a major factor, accounting for your debt, how much of your income goes to your debt to make sure that you can still qualify for a new payment in a mortgage and taxes. The fourth big piece is how much cash you have on hand. So just knowing, okay, right out of the gate to get a loan, I'm going to pay for prepaids, which are things like taxes up front. Even though taxes are built into your mortgage, you still need to pay a year's worth in advance. It's important to know that so that you can account for how much it'll cost to close. There are ways to build in your closing costs, or at least some of your closing costs, into your mortgage. However, it's still important to know that if what you will need at closing, you need to be able to get a general estimated amount to be able to save up for that. If you have any questions about the numbers and what those prepaids usually are when it comes to closing costs, what closing costs typically look like, we have it all laid out in a resource page for our buyers, and we'd love to send that to you if you would like that information. It's part of our buyer's workbook. We can send you the whole pamphlet so that you're aware of the process and what it looks like to buy or sell, just in terms of the steps and how to prep. Please feel free to reach out if you would like that, or if you have any questions about it. We'd love to help, and we are here to help in any way we can. We hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.